4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? I don't know. What I do know is that today's look has been achieved with an item purchased as part of my low buy January purchase, which, if you recall, Panic Antics did a giveaway. I won the giveaway, which was a voucher that I used, and because Beauty Bay had sales on at the time, I managed to get Sugar Pill, Coloured Rain, and Lunatick Cosmetics off of my low buy list. This is the Supernatural palette. Whilst it is very natural, is it super? Only one way to find out, Poppet. And that's to keep watching. Here it comes. Hey, welcome back from the intro. I will have shown you the outside of this in the intro. I love this coffin shape. Isn't it just funky as heck? Isn't it? Isn't it awesome? So yeah, it's Lunatick Cosmetics. It's got the 1 to 0 on it because they do feature Ouija balls quite a bit in their design. They've got their powder is the plectrum thing that goes round. I don't hold any truck with Ouijas. It's also got yes and no on it. I just know. Ouija boards, no. This is the inside. I'm trying to show you the. Can you see that mirror is actually bat shaped with the things around it? It's kind of cute, but it really does restrict how much you can actually see. It's a good mirror, but obviously with all of that around it, it makes it quite difficult to actually see your face. So it's just as well that I rely on my viewfinder here when I'm actually applying makeup, huh? Great. So these are the shades. Very much, this to me is what a neutral palette is. This is my neutrals. Sort of mauves and sort of deep berry tones and pinks. This to me is a neutral palette. Brown is not a neutral. Brown is just... Do I have to? To be honest, most of the time. Right. If you're new here, hi, welcome. Little bit of housekeeping. My videos are aimed at all skill levels, from beginner to expert. So I don't cut anything out. I go into a lot of detail with why I'm doing different things and what type of brushes I use. I don't cut any of the blending out. Everything that I do, you see real time. I get that if you're a regular viewer of mine, you'll have heard this bit and my thing about hooded eyes and how you can follow my tutorial and which brushes to use, etc. You'll see this in every film pretty much. So by all means, skip forward to the point you start to see me put colour on my eye. If when you get to that point, because of my chronic pain, I very often have to put the brush down because the blending is just basically killing me at the time. So if you want to speed me up, I really don't mind. You know, I am going to probably sound like Pinky and Perky or one of the chipmunks. Alvin, Simon, Theodore, you choose. Oh, that's just sent me down a whole 80s nostalgia thing. Right. I have literally just now done swatches of this. So I'm going to put that up on screen while I zoom in. I'm going to be very up close and personal by the time the swatches come back. So, just, prepare yourself, okay? Right, as you can see, there's only 5 shades in this palette. So obviously you're going to be limited to the number of looks you can actually do with it, but that does mean it's really great if you're sort of low on time, good lord woman, learn how to speak, because it means that obviously you don't get faced with as many choices. So, from left to right, we have got Invocation, Myth, as in myth and legend. I'm not lisping. Spook, Reincarnation, and Ghoulite. Who on earth? Okay, come back to me again. Who on earth thought putting an S in the word lisp was fair? It's like, why is dyslexia so difficult to spell? They struggle enough. Anyway. Right. When I look, this is the bit about eyes and hooded eyes and how you can follow my tutorial. When I look straight ahead, you can see all of my mobile lid from inner corner to outer corner. So I don't have hooded lids. If you can't see all of that mobile lid, you have either a half or a full hooded lid or what's known as a mono or an Asian eye. You can still follow my tutorial, you can still follow anybody's tutorial. If I put the brush this side and completely cover my mobile lid, if I then close this eye, you can see I've got just as much lid again that disappears back in. So I've actually got deep set eyes. A lot of people think they have hooded eyes because we get the same issue of shimmers transferring up, and when we do a cut crease you'd think you'd just have to do it to here, but we have to go right up here, otherwise we get transfer up. So a lot of people with deep set eyes think they have hooded eyes, but if you can see all of your mobile lid, you do not have a hooded eye. Now the way you can still follow my tutorials is get a flat top brush like this, or a pencil brush, or something with a very, very fine top or a flat top. And with your eye open, just sketch out where you would need your crease to fall. Okay? So imagine you can't see any of my mobile lid here. If I was creating a new one, I would come up to about here and just create a crease line there. Now obviously, with deep set eyes we do have the benefit that we tend to have a lot of lid space here to play with, which is great when I'm demoing eyeshadow palettes because it means I can use a lot of different shades. Obviously, because I can follow my eye socket here when I'm doing my crease. Obviously, if you've had to move your crease up, or if you've got lower brows and don't have this amount of canvas to play with, always raise your brows when you're putting powders on or creams on, because it does help tauten the canvas that we're using. I'm 44 when I'm filming this. I've lost 10, 11 stone, or 140, 150 pounds in the last few years. So the skin on my eyelids is mobile, it moves. And because I'm blind in this side, it got pulled around when I was like 5 and 6. I've got very deep permanent creasing here. Okay. So the type of brushes that you use are very important. Now I'm going to start off with a big old fluffy brush like this. Then I'm going to move down to a more tapered brush like this. Now obviously, however big the head of the brush is, that's how far it's going to blend out. So obviously if you've moved your crease up, that's going to take your blend up above your eyebrows. So don't start with a big fluffy brush. When I start with that one, you need to start with this one. When I move down to this one, you need to move down to a brush more like this. Now this is the one from the Ranimal set that I've mentioned in my brushes that I recommend, cheaper brushes that I recommend as well. But I've also got one here from Coastal Scents, which comes up to slightly more of a point, but you can see they both come up to a point and they both still are loosely packed so they can blend. So when I go to this one, which has this much width, you need to come down to one that comes up to a point. Right, it's time to put some colour on my lids. I've actually got a new brush that I want to try out today. I got given a Luxie 205 tapered blending. There we go. Which is basically a big old fluffy. This is like 12 quid. My Royal and Langnickel crease brush that I love is 2 quid. So this is 10 quid more expensive. So I'm going to see whether this is any better than my Royal and Langnickel. I very much doubt it. Right, so my face has been washed, moisturised, SPF'd and primed. Yes, I SPF all year round because even though the sun may not be warm enough to tan you, that's the UVB rays, the ones that tan and then burn you. The UVA rays, the ones that age you, well, they're there all year round. They're strong enough all year round to do damage. So I always use an SPF. I usually use 15 to 20 in the winter and then sort of 30 to 40 in the summer because I'm so pale. Right, on my lids I have got Revolution Conceal and Define, which I've blended out and then I've set with Coty Airspun Translucent. So, shall we get started? Right, I'm going to dip into Reincarnation first. Not much kick up in the pan, that's quite interesting, but it does pick up on this brush. I'm going to tap off, this is my colour switch that I'm tapping off into. The sponge is actually tearing at the moment, so I have got a clean washcloth that I will use for changing the colours on my brush today. And I'm going to start off at the outside edge here and just in a windscreen wiper movement run that through my crease backwards and forwards. Is that actually depositing any colour at all? Let's try not tapping off, shall we? Okay. Alright. Well, the colour's gone on. Just about. Right, I'm going to pick up some more pigment on my brush. And this time I'm gonna keep the bristles in contact with that line initially. And I'm going to do circular movements across to the middle, then I'm going to reverse the direction, lift the brush up and come back. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to start off at the outside edge here. We're going to do circles across to the middle. Without lifting the brush off the skin, move up a little bit, reverse the direction and come back, slightly overlapping that first lot of colour we put on. And then because my eyes are so deep set, I can actually go up again, so I'm going to pick up a little bit more pigment and go back to the original direction and just add some on this top corner. Now in my mirror I'm seeing a lot more pigment than I am in my viewfinder, so I'm hoping that it's just the LED lights that I've got on that are washing out my viewfinder. Because this has actually, in my mirror it looks okay. But I am going to build the colour up a little bit because I do want it a little bit deeper than it is. Now I tend to leave about a brush width or sort of 4 or 5 mils from the lowest part of my brow, so that we've got a strip there between the colour and our brow. It's a more flattering look, it's a more youthful look, and it means that our brow highlight stands out better as well. And then also then you know how high it is. As an experiment, I'm just going to grab my Royal and Langnickel to repeat this on this eye, and just because I want to see whether it's the brush or whether it's the palette that's not putting a huge amount of colour down. So I'm going to repeat this side with my Royal and Langnickel brush. Okay, I think it's the palette. Which is really annoying because this is really not true to pan colour. This is an awful lot lighter than it looks in the actual pan. Right, the reason that I'm doing the circles is because it gently moves the skin of your eye around and helps stop any sort of mist patches where the skin has folded over on itself. I think it's going on slightly better with this Royal and Langnickel, so I'll leave the Luxie brush for another day. Some brushes work better with some palettes. Nothing against the Luxie brush, but I will try that with a different palette that has more pigmentation, I think. So I'm just going to go over this eye with my Royal Langnickel one. Just try and build this colour up a bit to try and get it a little bit closer to what is actually in the pan. Now here and here I do struggle with getting pigment to lay down anyway because of creasing, so I do tend to just get some pigment and just pat on this top corner. I'm not worried too much about here because I'm going to put some deeper colours on top, but I do want the colour to actually show up here. Okay, I don't know whether it's because the colour is pressed quite firmly, because there's not a lot of kick up comes up in the pan when I'm using it, but I'm having to dip in an awful lot to get the kind of colour payoff that I want. But as I said, that could just be because the pigment is really firmly pressed. Because I know swatches you can't really go by, but it didn't exactly look like it had no pigment when I swatched it. This may be one of the palettes that I have to use with a base that I don't set first, so that it's got a more sticky base to sort of cling to. Okay, well, we can see that took a bit of work, but I've now got it to the kind of colour that I want. So I'm just going to take the colour off with this Royal and Langnickel. As I said, I'll try the Luxie brush another day on a palette that I know is more softly pressed. I might do another look with my Smoke Sessions palette maybe. Do the more sort of golden end of that rather than the green end. Right, I'm now going to go into Ghoul Light. Okay, now this one is much softer pressed. It's definitely kicking up more in the pan. So initially I'm going to start off doing the same thing, running through as a windscreen. Yeah, you can see that's so much different. I think it must just be that the first shade we used was pressed very firmly. Reincarnation has been very firmly pressed. So I'm just going to add some more pigment to Ghoul Light. And now this time when we do the circles, I'm not going to go up the eye. I'm going to keep the brush in contact with that windscreen wiper line that we've put down already. Just I'll go across a couple of times just to make sure we've got a good blend on that. Next door's kids are having fun, bless them. She's got 3 girls, God help her when they all hit teenage years. I'm expecting her to get very door slammy. Yes, you know, that's gone on. Yeah, I think that Reincarnation shade is just pressed too firmly, because this one is going on much easier, and I'm not having to keep dipping into the pan to get to the shade that I want. And when I was using Reincarnation, I wasn't tapping off either. With this shade, I am actually tapping off, and I'm still getting much better colour payoff much quicker. So You're going to have to be patient with the reincarnation shade by the look of it, but that's okay. We can be patient, can't we? I'm just going to tap a bit of extra pigment there because it's been particularly awkward with me today. But as I said, here and up there, I do struggle with getting pigment to lay down, but I'm going to put another deeper colour over the top, so I'm not overly worried at the moment. That look equal. I'm just going to, yeah, see, I still do get bar striping here, even with the twirling that I'm doing, simply because I've got such deep creasing there, so I do have to really gently pull that lid out. Don't do that unless the twirly whirlies don't work for you, because I can assure you that the skin on your eyes is as delicate as tissue paper, and the more you pull it about, the deeper those creases are going to get. And once you've got deep creases, trust me, you'll wish you didn't. Right, so I've cleaned the colour off of that brush. So I'm going to go into this, this is my Ranny Moore brush, the eye crease brush number 8. This is my more tapered one. So if you've started with this, now's the time to go down to the pointed tapered crease brushes. This one, by the way, if you wanted to know, was from Coastal Scents. And I'm actually going to go into Spook, which is the deeper sort of satiny metallic, and just going to tap a little bit of that on the outer corner here. And I'm applying it dry. And it appears this is going to be another one of those ones that doesn't want to put pigment down. Just going to go through windscreen wiper wise and see whether I'm actually getting any pigment down off of that at all. Sort of, but not really. Right, I'm going to load some pigment up on this brush, and I'm just going to wet the brush, see if that helps. Because as I said, this is a more shimmery shade, so let's see if that will. Okay, so this shimmer you cannot use dry by the look of it. You're going to have to use it wet to get any colour payoff. So I'm just going to do little circles through the crease rather than windscreen wiper and then circle. So I'm just going to circle very, very gently through the crease. I know you shouldn't use shimmers in your crease, but I've always been one for breaking the rules. Breaking the rules, breaking the rules. I'm just going to gently smudge that out best I can. Now I'm not going to go back into that with a wet brush. Never go into a pressed shadow with a wet brush because you will get a hard pan and it will seal the colour over, and then you won't be able to get any colour off of it next time you use it. But while this is still damp, on my eye I mean, I'm picking up some more pigment here just to try and deepen the outer corner. Okay, that side, lovely. That side. If you suddenly hear music, it's because they're swearing and my camera's picked it up. I'm just going to tap a little bit of pigment on just to deepen that corner. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, that has made the brush a little bit damp, so I'm just going to. This is the beauty actually of using this rather than a colour shift, because if you have wet your brush, and you obviously you're going to need to dry it before you go in to do the other eye or to pick up more pigment. When I was using the colour switch, I would colour switch it off and then I would sort of dry it on my hand like this. When you're using a washcloth, it does both things for you at the same time. So although I have bought a replacement colour switch, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to use it. Yes, I've got Fallout, but I haven't done my base yet, so I'm not overly worried about that. Right, so I'm going to load the brush up again with that Spook shade and wet it. I'm just using Obsession's Pigment Boost, but you can use any kind of spray really. You can use a moisturising spray like Mario Badescu or MAC Fix Plus. You can use a setting spray, you can use a priming spray, you can even use water. All we're doing is just wetting the pigment. Now, this is not foiling the pigment. To foil a pigment, you have to put the loose pigment onto like a dish or a plate and mix it to a paste or a liquid with a mixing medium of some form, be it a setting spray or Smolder Powder liquid, or Revolution actually do a very, very good mixing liquid. And this is literally just applying the shadow wet, and I hear even the really big beauty gurus say, "Oh, I'm just foiling my shadow." No, you're not, you're applying it wet. Use the right terms. It really bugs me when people do that. I'm like, you know, I've not been into makeup that long, but I know what foiling a shadow is and how it's different to applying a shadow wet. So if I know that, why don't you, when you've been doing this for years? I don't get it. Right, so again, I've dried the brush off. I'm just going to go in and pick up some more pigment dry and just tap that into the corner there, just to partly take away some of the sheen and partly just to give it a bit more depth on the outside corner. Right, now I'm going to apply a shadow wet on my lid. So I am going to use, this is the Royal & Langnickel Chic Pro. It's actually their spot concealer. Now I use this if I'm going to be cutting my crease, but it's also very, very good for packing a colour onto the lid. It was bugging me. Right, so with a dry brush I'm going to go into Invocation. Okay, this pan is actually twisting as I'm tapping in it. It's not fixed in very well at all. That's a little bit concerning. Doesn't seem to be picking up a huge amount of pigment on the brush either, but it's a light pigment, so we'll wet it and see what happens. I do always dry off the ferrules so that no moisture gets down and loosens the bristles. I'm just going to pop this on the 2/3 of the lid that I haven't already put shadow on. Okay, that's not bad. It's not great, but I've used worse. Right, clean the brush off and dry it, and go back in and pack some more pigment on. Wet the brush and repeat on this eye. Now with this eye I do have to stretch the eye out, otherwise the shimmers sort of skim the top of those really deep creases, and then as it dries during the next sort of hour or so, as I blink I get bits of powder come shooting down my eye, which is not great. Okay, right, I am going to go off camera and do foundation and whatnot, and I will be back to finish off this eye look, which for you, thanks to the magic of YouTube, is coming up right now. Okay, so my mate rang and I got distracted and ended up finishing all my makeup off, so I will just zoom you in quickly. All I did under my eyes was put a little bit of Ghoul Light and then smudged it out with Reincarnation. Oh, and that's my husband. Hang on. I rarely get phone calls and then I start filming and my phone doesn't stop. Right, so as I said, I put Ghoul Light under my lashes and smudged it out with Reincarnation. I've actually used two new brow products today. I've used the Catrice Cosmetics Slimatic Ultra Precise Brow Pencil Waterproof 1.5mm in Cool Brown, like so, and then topped it with some Essence Make Me Brow Eyebrow Gel Mascara with Filling Fibres in shade Brownie Brows. And the mascara that I've used, which I've got to say I absolutely love. I picked this up because Nikki Raven from the Beauty YouTuber Girls Growth Group mentioned that she'd picked up this Catrice Cosmetics Glam and Doll Volume Waterproof mascara because the wand is a bang-on dupe for Benefit Bad Gal Bang. Now I love Benefit Bad Gal Bang mascara, but A, it's bloody expensive, and B, it's not waterproof, so when my eyes are particularly runny I can't use it because I'll end up with it all smudged, particularly at the corners here. So I thought, well, I need to replace a couple of my mascaras. I've had them open for about 3 months, so it's time to change them. Anyway, so I picked this up, and Nikki, I absolutely love you because I am loving this. I totally agree. It is the closest dupe I've found to the Bad Gal Bang. So thank you for that, Nikki. And then I used my Jeffree Sarcophagus highlighter, which is the most beautiful pale cool toned gold. So if you're neutral to cool like me, this is a gold you can actually wear. It's almost more of a champagne than a gold, but it's a little bit stunning. And the lips today are, this is something I've not tried before from Gerard. I've used their Hydra Mattes and I've used their Bullet lipsticks and their Lip Plump Assist thing. But I'd not tried their Supreme Lip Creams, which is what this is. And this is in shade Envy. And it's just, I think it's the perfect match to this eyeshadow. And it's very, it feels like a bullet lipstick, but you have the ease of application with the doe foot in here. I do have a discount code for Gerard, which will save you 30%. It is affiliated. All of that is clearly marked in my description box below. If you want to buy it, crack on. If you don't, you don't have to. There's plenty of discount codes floating around for Gerard. You know, they opened their affiliate program up to channels of all sizes. They took away the restriction of needing to be a certain size, which is awesome, and I think it's really a supportive thing to do for Jen Gerard, because it means that smaller channels like myself can still offer our viewers the same discounts that huge channels can. Yes, it's affiliated, so I make, you know, a few pence or whatever from your order. But to be honest, it's more important for me that you actually save 30% with that code. So, and if you want to know whether you can trust me with my codes and whether I'm doing I won't mention her, but I think we all know which Morphe affiliate I'm talking about, ramming it down your throat all the time, and just, I won't ever tell you something's good if I don't like it. But this is what I've been using today. This is what I'm reviewing in this film. I'm guessing this is going to be pretty much the only kind of eye look I'm going to be able to get out of this palette, particularly because of Reincarnation really, really disappointed me, that shade, because of how firmly it was pressed. It made it very difficult to get the pigment actually onto my eyes. And the Royal and Langnickel brushes pick up pigment so well, so the fact that even that one I was having to dip in more than once. That Reincarnation shade is definitely pressed too firm. The Spook shade, the deep mulberry sort of shimmer that I've got through the crease and deepening up the outer corner. Normally a shimmer you can actually apply it dry and you'll still have the same depth of shade, you just won't have the same reflection and the same luminescence from it. It will appear, particularly if you're using a fluffier brush, it will appear more like a satin or a matte shade, but you can normally still get the depth of colour that is shown in the pan on a dry brush. And you saw the only way I was getting any pigment out of that was to use it wet, which means if I wanted to do a full-on grungy look and really smoke this out, I'd have to use it wet, and I really don't know how well that would work. So I'm guessing this is really going to be the only kind of look I'm going to be able to get out of this palette. Now normally with a £5 with 3 mattes and 2 shimmers, you can normally get 3, sometimes 4 looks out of it. It's not one I'd actually recommend. There are better palettes out there for similar price or even cheaper. Some of the Makeup Rev Reloaded palettes, which are like £4 and have 15 shades in, perform 1,000 times better than this did. So, do I recommend this palette to you? No. Am I likely to buy anything else from Lunatick Cosmetics? No. Because if this is an indication of what their palettes are like, I was so excited about this palette because I thought this is the perfect neutral palette for me. It's got all the sort of shades in it that I like. It's got the mauves, it's got the mulberries, it's got the pink. This to me is a perfect neutral palette. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't actually perform as well as I would like. I mean, yes, this look is very pretty and I'll probably do it again, but the whole point of a £5 neutral palette for me is that if I'm running late and I'm in a rush and I've got like 20 minutes to stick some makeup on, I want a palette that picks pigment up quickly, lays it down quickly, blends it out well, that I don't have to spend ages and ages going back into the same shade to build the pigment up. So, whilst I like the look, the finished look that this has given me, it's not unique to my collection. I probably will keep hold of it, simply because it's coffin shaped and I don't have a coffin shaped thing, and you know, if necessary I can always sort of bung it up on the wall and it looks quite good. But sadly, Lunatick Cosmetics Supernatural Eyeshadow Palette, not that super. But you always get the truth from me, you know that. So on that rather disappointing note, I hope you found it helpful, and if you were going to buy this palette, I hope it's helped determine whether you will actually be forking out your hard-earned moolah or not. If you did enjoy this, it'd be awesome if you could hit that like button for me, comment, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, don't forget to ring my bell, and choose all notifications so that you get told every time that I upload another one of these films. And talking of another one of these films, I've got an awful lot for you to choose from, and the majority of them work much better than this did. So why not pop over and check some of them out, see if there's any that you've missed recently. Or if you're new, open a playlist, get a drink, get a snack, put your feet up and just indulge. Once you've watched mine, it'd be awesome if you could check out my girlies in the Beauty YouTuber Growth Group, especially Nikki Raven with her suggestion for this mascara. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki. And I'm sure they'll all be delighted to welcome you to their channels, as you are more than welcome to mine. Right, as ever, all that remains for me to say is you'll stay fabulous, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.